my segment on psychological abuse, the hidden epidemic. The reason I chose this topic is because, as you guys all know, um, I was abused, and it was like a very touchy subject for me. And I'm majoring in the sciences and psychology, so I want to know more about this topic. So the reason why I chose this picture is because, as you can see, it's very
explanatory.
It is, yeah, it's explanatory. Psychological abuse, words hurt. It's very, traumatizing, and even though it's not verbal, even though it's not physical, it's still traumatizing, and we'll get into that. So let's see. Psychological abuse is emotional abuse, mental abuse. It's a form of mistreatment in which there is intent to cause mental or emotional pain or injury. Psychological abuse includes verbal aggression, statements intended to humiliate or infantilize, insults, threats of abandonment or institutionalization. Pardon me. Psychological abuse results in stress, social withdrawal, long-term or recalcitrant depression. So that's the term of why am I so nervous? When we think of psychological abuse, we automatically refer to domestic violence or domestic abuse. Psychological abuse with physical is, wait, what? Psychological abuse is most common, just like physical abuse. However, what many people don't know is that psychological is actually the first step to becoming physically abusive and sexually abusive. So it's actually like the beginning stage. And for those of you who don't know, this is like examples of emotional abuse or psychological abuse. Being invasive, why am I so nervous? Belittling through sarcasm, browbeating, bullying, confinement, constantly criticizing, controlling, demeaning, harassing. And if you have done any of these to anybody or experienced any of these, you have been emotionally abusing people. And you have been emotionally abused. Where's mine? Mine is the sarcasm. Where is it? I'm very sarcastic, and that's actually a form of psychological abuse. I did not know that. I'm sorry, Val. Now, these are the cycles of abuse. Tension building. So tensions increase the breakdowns of communication. Victims become fearful and feels that they need to placate the abuser. Step 2 is the incident, the verbal and emotional physical abuse. The angry, the being blamed, and the arguing, the threats, intimidating someone is the second step. Reconciliation. Abuser will constantly apologize. They'll, be like, I'm so sorry, I love you, like, this isn't your fault, it's my fault. But as you can see, the incident is forgotten, and it continues to recuperate each time, and we reach the calm phase where the abuse is taking place, and it's called like the honeymoon phase, where everything will be good and then it'll start up again. And since we are talking about how it is a hidden epidemic, so you can see it doesn't have to, you don't have to hit to hurt. There are signs of, wait, where am I? Sorry guys, 1 second. Just continue. I don't know where my notes went. I do. PTSD, as you can see, impacts the spirit, it impacts the soul, the mind, emotions, and memories. And the reason why I chose Robin Williams is because we all know him to be happy and loving and, a very caring man, especially in the movies. He portrays himself to be, very open-minded and creative and just a very happy guy, and nobody knew that he was suffering with depression all those years, and, he took his own life, and, like, PTSD, not many people know the signs of it, and it's not aware, like, the depression and the pain. So, yeah, those are a few outcomes of that. And just a little statistics, 48.4% of women and 48.8% of men have experienced at least one psychologically aggressive behavior by an intimate partner. And the reason why I like this one the most is because it shows that men are more than likely to be psychologically abused because women tend to be more psychologically abusive and men tend to be more physically abusive. So I thought that was interesting. 4 in 10 women and 4 in 10 men have experienced at least one form of coercive control by an intimate partner in their lifetime. And you can see the other statistics, but I thought the first one was the most important. Oh, and the last one, women who earn 65% or more in their household's income are more likely to be psychologically abused than women who earn less.
I understand now.
Hi. And for those of you who don't know, if any of you have been abused or need help or know of someone who's being abused, this is a national domestic hotline. That's their number, and it's a 24/7 hotline, and it is free and anonymous. Oh, I'm so nervous. Why am I so nervous? And here's a post that I'd like to share with you guys because I felt that it was really important. In some respects, emotional abuse is more devastating than physical violence due to the greater likelihood that the victims will blame themselves. If someone hits you, it's easier to see that he or she is the problem. But if the abuse is subtle, saying or implying that you are ugly, a bad parent, stupid, incompetent, not worth the attention, and that no one could love you, you're more likely to think that you are the problem. Emotional abuse is more personal than psychological abuse, more about you as a person, more about your spirit, and it makes love hurt.